Alright guys, in this video we're going to be going over how my Trans Am has held up with 101,000 miles. Now before we start this video, I'd like to encourage you to subscribe. If you'd like to see more videos on this Trans Am, among other Firebirds, consider subscribing. That means a lot. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. But now to start the video, do a quick walk around on the Trans Am here. This car is a 2001, so it is 19 years old, but you know, it was built in 2000, so it's really 20 years old. Has 101,000 miles on it. And as you can see, I mean, it really cleans up pretty nice. This has been a northern car its whole life. Started out its life in Massachusetts, eventually making its way to Detroit with me. It is pewter metallic. Paint shows up pretty nice. This half of the car was repainted in 2019 when a Ford Expedition decided that they wanted to run into me. But the rest of the car is actually all original paint. So the passenger side still looks okay. We got some minor dings, a little chip in the door down there, nothing major. But you can see the car doesn't have any rust, so that's cool. The body panels are mostly composite, but even the underside, I mean, it's pretty clean. It's a pretty clean car. We can take a look on the inside. Now this is where my Firebird is a little nicer than most. You can see dash pad is not cracked. Both seats are in pretty nice shape. Door panels do have some hairline cracking going on. Not as bad as my V6 Firebird, but they all kind of do this eventually. You can see the center console still pretty decent. Back seat's still pretty nice. Steering wheel's in decent shape. You can see my car has had the original gauge inlays replaced with white ones. I'm not a big fan of that, but the previous owner did that, as well as the pedals. But we can climb in here. You can see pretty decent interior for a Firebird. Usually these are pretty beat up, but this one's survived quite nicely. The T-tops don't seem to have any major leaks to them, although I have been sprayed a couple of times when I was driving in some severe thunderstorms. We can take a look under the hood. Now this engine bay isn't anything, you know, show quality, but it's not bad. There's no real rust anywhere. I think it cleans up okay. Do have a giant leaf there. It is fall. As you can see, the Speed Engineering long tube headers. Been very happy with those. Put a new water pump on it last year. Does have an MTI air lid. Pretty sure that's, I don't think you can get the MTI ones anymore, but it's essentially the same thing as the SLP stuff. LF6 intake from the factory because this is an 01 car. Well, yeah, that's the engine bay of a Trans Am with 101,000 miles on it. I'll start it up so you guys can hear it run. Mine does seem to have a little bit of piston slap going on, which is pretty normal. It doesn't really bother me much. You can see that Speed Engineering exhaust sounds pretty awesome. So you can definitely hear some piston slap, but like I said, that's not abnormal for an LS1. Aluminum block with steel cylinder sleeves. I guess they just kind of make that sound. It is what it is. The thing still runs really good, so I can't really complain. We can take a walk around back, get you an idle clip here. As you can see, it's a pretty mild exhaust at idle. It's really not bad. It's very, I wouldn't call it obnoxious at all at idle. But the stereo on this car, it has been replaced. When I bought the car, the head unit was replaced, but I actually put the stock one back in. All the speakers have been replaced with cheap knockoffs, ones that I don't think they sound very good at all, to be honest with you. Not a fan. If you can get one of these cars with the factory monsoon stereo that, you know, hasn't had the speakers replaced, they really do sound awesome, but this one unfortunately has had the speakers replaced. Now we go over the transmission. I really do like T56s, but mine's seen some better days. 101,000 hard miles has not been kind to it. Sometimes when it's cold out, I have a little problem getting into second, like kind of right now actually, even when the engine's off. I don't really have any problem with third. Fourth has got a little bit of a crunch to it when you're driving, and sometimes it'll randomly pop out of fourth. So I mean, I think the shift fork is bent, so I'll probably have to rebuild this at some point, but I'm kind of cheap, so I'm putting it off as long as I can. But, you know, first, third, fifth, sixth, and reverse, I have no problems with. Just getting into second and then staying in fourth. Kind of weird. That about does it. 101,000 miles, you know, it has not weathered as good as the 5th gen Camaro. But you got to remember, these cars are, the way they were designed, it's about 20 years apart. So I really can't complain too much. The old 10-bolt rear end is surviving so far. I do think I have an axle bearing that's on its way out, but it hasn't completely failed yet. So I guess we're just going to keep driving it until it does. I have a lot of plans for the car, but that'll be coming this winter. There'll be a lot of videos on that kind of stuff. So let's take it for a drive and see how it drives with 101,000 miles. Alright guys, we're going to take the Trans Am for a drive, see how it does with 101,000 miles on it. Now the car is completely stock, other than Speed Engineering long tube headers and a Speed Engineering true dual exhaust. Let's give it a go. Sounds pretty awesome. Now, let's get this party started, and let's try not to run over the jogger. So this car has had the clutch replaced at one point. I'm not sure what clutch it is. It's quite heavy compared to an original clutch, but it seems to get the job done. It's a little on the noisier side, but like I said, it puts the power down. That's all I can ask of it. The car has all stock suspension and all stock steering components. Now I will be replacing many of the steering components this winter because it has a little more play than I would like it to. I'm kind of picky like that. Okay. Nice CTS-V, I like those. So as you can tell, it sounds pretty awesome. It sounds like bald eagles in America, because that's what it is. We got the Trans Am and this guy's CTS-V. I think that me and him will get along very well. Like I said, the T56, it's not great. It's not like it used to be, but it still gets the job done. The ratios on it are perfect. I love the ratios. Very nicely spaced gears. So you can see the steering, it's got a little bit of slop to it, but I will be addressing that this winter. We're going to depart with my friend Mr. CTS-V. Noise going into second and third and fourth, but you gotta remember it is a 20-year-old car, and I think the previous owners beat on it pretty hard, so I can't really ask too much of it. But it's not super smooth going down the road. Like I said, I do think an axle bearing is preparing to die. Compared to the 5th gen Camaro I drove yesterday, this car is a lot more raw, a lot less comfortable, but a lot more fun. You really gotta love it. We've got a police officer here, so we're gonna drop it into quiet mode, because I don't want to cause any trouble. I can't afford tickets, you know what I'm saying? I've had it for going on 3 years now. Yeah, going on 3 years. Been a while. Hard to believe, but I haven't really done much to it besides the full exhaust and the water pump. Those are the only repairs I've done, actually. Well, I put new rear tires on it, but I got to get new, wheels and tires anyway because they don't hold any air. So that kind of sucks, but again, that's a winter project. I'll be doing that this winter. There'll be a lot of videos on it. going 35 miles an hour right now, and it's, I mean, you can tell this car, it does not like going slow. It really does want to get up and go. Unfortunately, this road does not allow that kind of fun. The exhaust has a little bit of drone, but it's pretty easily controllable by just going another gear lower, or higher, I mean. But yeah, it's not nearly as smooth as a 5th gen by any means. A 5th gen is much more daily drivable than this car is. And this is a smoother road, so you can't really hear the rattles on the interior, but this interior does rattle a whole lot. You notice that more with the leather interior Firebirds. The cloth interior ones don't make much noise at all. I think I've isolated the noises down to really it's the seats. The front 2 leather seats I think make most of the rattling, which is really kind of a shame. But even the car has 101,000 miles on it, and it's mostly 100% stock. I mean, the suspension's never been touched, steering's never been touched. I think maybe it's had new brakes put on at some point, but I mean the brakes seem to work fine. The car still handles pretty decent. It doesn't have a lot of body roll. My V6 Firebird has a lot more body roll with about the same miles on it. So these shocks seem to have held up a little bit better than the V6 Firebird, but the steering has not. The steering on the V6 Firebird is fine. This car, not so much. Why they weather so much differently, I don't really understand, but I never claimed to be a genius. The car does have some odd little weird things about it. Like when you turn the headlights on, they both pop up, but when you turn them off, they both go down, except the driver's side sits about a ½ inch higher, so you actually have to manually crank it down to sit flush with the other one. It's